So we are very pleased and we offer our gratitude to each of the candidates for stepping up to be candidate for WILF US Board. And you will be, your service is greatly appreciated. Um, I have my wrong. All right.
I'll just remind candidates that I, Darian, am the timekeeper. I'll be showing signs in my little box. I'll let you see me when it's time to put up a sign telling you how you only have a little time left.
So we don't have a lot of really strict rules. We are asking you to not refer to other people besides your co-president if you are running with them. And we're asking you to help us out with the time so we can keep on a schedule. The first question will include the candidate's uh, statement, their own candidate statement. So, and I'm going to start at the bottom of the list, how it will be on your ballot. Want to let everyone know that the ballots are at the printers, and as soon as they're finished with them, they will be mailed out. So keep an eye on your mailbox. So I'm going to start with Gloria, and then the order will be Gloria, Julie Leek, Eileen, Mary Beth, Jan, Diane, Martha Collins, and then Shilpa. And then I'll reverse that order for our second question, and then return to that order for our third question. So the first question includes your opening statement and what are your own main goals for your board position specifically and the board in general, and why do you feel you are the right person for your board position at this time? So, Gloria, I'm assuming, Ellen, you're handling the spotlighting?
Oh, yes. Sorry.
Thank you, Gloria, for being off mute, and we'll start your question now.
Well, thank you very much for this introduction, and I'm off and running, I guess we would have to say. If granted this honor, I will try to serve WILF US as an at-large national board candidate, or already elected. I will be happy to meet new people from all diverse backgrounds and to help them relate on various levels and planes. I welcome the work of the new executive director, and I hope to assist. I'm happy to serve as an unassigned assistant to the board, taking on whatever responsibility they need filled on a short-term basis and mostly supporting the work of the board. Starting 2025, I can assist the new hired executive director with aspects of leadership and coordination that are not automatically assigned to the other board members. In my judgment, the new executive director, in order to bring more clarity and advance momentum for the strategic planning and uplifting the visibility of WILF US, can benefit from another pair of hands. My background in rhetoric and communications may help. I'm human, though I have the usual set of human failings to watch out for. Any voluntary group that seeks to grow will have a healthy respect for audience awareness and size of audience, and being able to take nuanced positions on heated issues. To grow is to embrace diversity. With diversity comes communications, learning, and challenge. In order to reach out, an at-large member must make notes of key points at a meeting. Areas of common ground should be noted and highlighted by me, and I presume other at-large members, whoever gets elected. Judicious speaking is a must. I grew up in Chicago's lower middle class, although I would call it working class, and have shown persistence in getting the flagship Chicago WILF branch relaunched. This needed link to the WILF network should bring many benefits and also continue the still relevant work started by Jane Addams and the other WILF co-founders at Hull House. So the job of an at-large board member is to observe carefully before acting in public. Jane Addams advised this role to all people involved in public and often conflict-filled or even violent rhetorical situations. I take this job of silent observation as seriously as my speaking role. An at-large member must learn how the various committees and the boards interact. If possible, I will try to find some new paths for better collaborations. I will try to be present and visible as my time and energy permit, but note that I have a new campus branch we're starting in Tucson, and we'll have to give time to that as well. So thank you all for letting me lead off here, and on with the show.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Gloria.
Welcome.
Julie Leek, you will have the same question, which, thank you. The spotlight will just get rolling. Go ahead and you can start talking.
Okay. Many activists my age started tell me that their activist work began with the Vietnam War, but I can't say that. My engagement became much later when I was elected to the vestry in the Episcopal Church, and I joined the Episcopal Peace Fellowship. So there were many community issues that I was engaged with, and in recent years, I've been involved with the Raging Grannies, with Code Pink, and with WILPF, and very involved with the People's Forum in New York. But as an at-large member with a short history compared to many other WILPF members, I realized that there would be a significant learning curve for me in terms of learning how the board and the committees work together. But I would be willing to invest the time to do that, to work, because of the focus on increasing our membership and in fundraising is more important now than ever for economic and social justice. So while my years of experience are not many, I would have a learning curve, but I would be willing to do that. So I would appreciate the opportunity to do it.
Thank you, Julie. And next we will hear from Eileen Kurkowski, who is running for the Membership Development Committee Chair. And she will give her opening statement and what are your main goals for your board position in general and you specifically. Thank you, Eileen. Oops, you're muted. You're muted. Darian will note that and can...
Yes, when you
There you go.
unmute, I'll start.
Thank you. Oh, what happened?
You're still muted somehow.
Let me see if I can
It
do it
doesn't
for you.
show.
There we go. Can you try again, Eileen? There you go. Thank you.
I think I've got it. Yes. And thank you, Tina. And hello, everybody. I'm Eileen Kurkowski from the Boston branch. I've been a part of WILPF for 9 years and I began my activism in my church in social action committee, working with the hunger and homelessness folks of Boston. I was lucky enough to hook into a wonderful woman, Nancy Wren, now in her mid-90s, who brought me into this extremely intelligent group of people, organization, and that is why I joined the first day I went into a retreat. And I have not been sorry since. I am truly passionate about WILPF's mission and want to keep on expanding on it, especially in this time right now. I have many measurable goals for membership development. I've already started some and I will be continuing. I have been the interim membership development chair for several months now and help Shelby in reaching, and this is what my goal is, helping Shelby, our field organizer, to reaching her goals of growing 3% at least with branch and member and other members' development themselves to build reliable and talented 6 to 10 membership committee. who will be a group of people who brainstorm things such as how we stay sustainable and grow, how to connect members with the Jane Addams branch. And I'm talking them connecting with each other. And I'm encouraging everyone to consider if we need other issues to consider, like dues being changed. I'm encouraging members to support all regional or at-large WILF gatherings, work with executive director as needed. I don't know what that's going to look like, and create a yearly budget that supports our committee's goals, but without straining the finance committee. I'm very aware, because I've been on the finance committee for years, that we are running a deficit almost every year, and that has to stop. But I think we can grow and keep within the budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Eileen. I appreciate you explaining that you are currently serving as interim membership development chair. I appreciate that. And so now we are going to go to our development committee chair candidate, and that is Mary Beth Gardam.
Hi, everybody. I'm Mary Beth Gardam from Iowa City, Iowa. I've been a WILF member since 2003. I was active in and past president of the Des Moines branch. So I understand the challenges of supporting and maintaining a local branch. In 2014, when I moved to Florida for 8 years where we didn't have a branch, I was tapped to join the national board as development chair, and I've served in versions of that role ever since. I've tried hard to find someone to replace me, but it's not an easy task. People tend to avoid asking for money, and this position is one of the most easily quantifiable in terms of success and failure. So it's not a popular position. It's also quite a lot of work. My goals for this position in the next 3 years are to continue to seek new major donors for WILF and to encourage the 80% of our members who do not donate beyond their dues to consider making a meaningful donation to the organization at least once a year, or better yet, to become monthly recurring donors of at least $10 a month. Recurring monthly donations allow our organization to plan on a stable monthly income to meet our monthly expenses, just like you hear from your local PBS station. And those donations are secure, even though they're online. So you can see a record of my past employment and professional fundraising experience in my candidate statement. That experience is what makes me think I can do this job. And my passion for WILF's work keeps me dedicated to this role, even though it's a hard one. But fundraising at WILF is everyone's job, not just mine or the developments team. And I'm looking forward to working with a new executive director who brings a little more current fundraising experience than mine and some fresh ideas on how to proceed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Beth. We are now going to proceed to the 4 candidates who are running for the role of co-president. As you may know, I'll just run through it in case someone hasn't caught the email. We have 2 teams that are running for co-president. We have Diane Blay and Jan Quarterman, and we have Shilpa Pandey and Martha Collins. And so for your opening statement, Jan, we are going to call on you right now. I see you're already unmuted and we are ready to go. Would you like for me to read the question?
That's up to you. I know what it is, but you're
Okay.
welcome to read it.
I think we're okay. Go ahead.
Okay, well, hi, everybody. Thanks for being here tonight. And I'm really excited to be running for the position of co-president. WILF's allowed me to do a lot to contribute to the greater good by inviting me to join strong women and men at the branch level, the section level, and international levels. And we're all working for a more peaceful world. And importantly, it's also connected me with like-minded people, including Diane Blay, who's my running mate. a bit about me. I spent my career as a union organizer, including winning election to the highest rank of the largest AFL-CIO union in Iowa. And I served at the helm in that position for 10 years. I prepared and administered our $2.5 million annual budget. I directed the activities of 20 staff members, and I organized skill building workshops for rank and file leaders and staff so that we could all expand our knowledge base. So when I retired in 2005, I went looking for an organization. I wanted to be able to be a part of fostering positive change. I wanted to do that through community building, and I wanted to really learn more about the issues that are important to me. So when I was introduced to WILPF over a dozen years ago, I found that to be a perfect fit for me with women who have big goals and the commitment and the expertise to work for them. Through my activities in the Des Moines branch, I've worked with teams to create strategic campaigns and initiatives and worked on them from inception to implementation. And our branch has been very active in our community. We've had projects that relate to our environment, like Mow Less May to support those pollinators. We've tabled at farmers markets for all through the season to win support for a factory farm moratorium. Those are just two examples. We've also been really building our coalition work. So many others, we work with so many others to hold rallies supporting a free Palestine. We commemorate the tragedy at Hiroshima and Nagasaki and much, much more. I was just looking through the program for a seminar we did recently, Paying for War, Working for Peace. It was an all-day event. We were one of the two groups that put it on, and there were 13 other organizations in our community that signed on with us. We invited branches in the Midwest, and we were so pleased that someone from the Minnesota branch was able to come down and join us. At the national level, I've served as our treasurer, putting my bachelor's degree in accounting to good use. I really think that joining our Middle East Peace and Justice Action Committee was a way for me, real important way for me to help challenge that widely accepted perspective on the Israel-Palestine conflict. It favors Israel's claims in defining the conflict, and it's really resulted in this whole acceptance and caused us to spend a lot of our tax dollars. And I see I've only got a few seconds left, so I'm going to jump to some ideas. I think it would be great to re-energize our call to action days. We do great section-wide on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. I want to thank Disarm and the End Wars Committee for their work in support of those. Maybe we want to crank up our tax day protests again. We've got some branches, including the Tucson branch, that don't buy war toys, and maybe that's something that we can talk about doing section-wide. So we'd like to do more of that. Time? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. And Jan's running mate is Diane Blay. I just saw you, Dan.
Yes, I'm here.
You're already unmuted. Great.
Oh, sure. So thank you, Jan, and thank you everyone for being here and trying to serve. So I found out about WILPF at a World Beyond War national event, and I was rather horrified that I hadn't known about WILPF before. So that is definitely one of my main goals, is to get WILPF more out there and to get more people knowing about it. So I have been I was the secretary for WILPF US, and I am the Jane Addams branch convener. So I send out the emails, and and this is the largest branch that we have. So I have been very involved in WILPF in the past few years. I can usually do things a little bit different than some people. I graduated from college when I was 19. I've been president of the State League of Women Voters and the American Association of University Women, and I've been on different levels locally in these organizations. Also, I have had 12 years I've had meals at my house, raising money for, it was called Dining for Women. It's a philanthropic group. And I had over 100 foster children while I was raising my own 4 children. And I've had foreign exchange students live here. And I hosted the board meeting a couple years ago, and I offered to do it again. So my background, and then I did run for Congress. I ran for state legislature and for the U.S. Congress, and I was doing it again in 2020 when when COVID hit, and I decided it wasn't worth pursuing that. So anyway, I feel like I have finished every term, that every job I took on. And I have been a secretary of different organizations, which have led up to being president. And I feel this is a good way to learn about the organization. And I think Jan and I would make a great team, because I think we have a vision of opening up and getting WILF out there and letting people know about it. And so,
Thank you.
okay.
Thank you. Our next team, we're going to start with Martha Collins. And if you can unmute, Martha, I can double check if you need me to, let me double check. Sometimes I have to, nope. Go ahead, you're ready. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you all for being here this evening. Wow, just amazing folks that's on the call and hearing people's stories and backgrounds, learning a little bit more about each and every one of you. Again, my name is Martha Collins. I am from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and part of the Milwaukee branch. And I've been involved with WILF US for 10 years now. And I was brought into the organization at the local level from a long life member, mentor of mine, and a friend that has passed on, Rose Datesman. Currently, I sit as the co-chair for WILF US Development Committee, and I am a member of the Women, Money, and Democracy Issue Committee. I, like so many others, kind of happenstance learned about WILF US. Even though being born and raised in Chicago, Illinois, not far from Hull House, I became very familiar with the organization when I was the state director for 9 to 5 Wisconsin, which is the National Association of Working Women. And if you know Rose and knows her story, she is an amazing organizer. And so being the executive director of that nonprofit, and she, definitely came beating down our door around a lot of issues that was collaborative and intersectional with WILF. And so started to become more interested in the organization and doing research and learning about it. And of course, joining the local branch and, signing up and being a part of a number of different events and activities that were being housed or going on at the time. And over the years, of course, I got sucked in and became more involved at the national level. My resume is almost 25 years now of nonprofit management and leadership. And that is one thing that I really am excited about. As you all know, with the oncoming new executive director in this position of co-president, having the opportunity to work with that person, to help them understand and get caught up to speed, kind of building the plane while they're flying it. But supporting them and making sure that as a member of the organization, the others are being heard as this person is leading, as well as making sure the organization is sustainable. Membership recruitment, retention. I believe, as you know, my co-president colleague, Shilpa Panda, that is running with me, I believe we both bring a great not only work experience, but personal experience as a new diverse leadership for WILF for generations to come. So thank you so much.
Thank you. And we will go now to Shilpa.
Okay.
Thank you, Shilpa.
So, well, thank you so much, nominating committee, for organizing this. I think it's a huge task. So, my association with WILF really is as old as my own journey in the feminist peace movement. That started in my early 20s in 2009 in India, which is where I became a member of WILF. Fast forward 2014, I immigrated to the United States and found myself getting engaged with the US section actively over a period of time. And these past 10 years between 2014 and now, there's a lot that I learned about the challenges that we face, not only as an anti-war progressive organization in the US. And of course, we all know that US happens to be the greatest exporter of wars around the world. But I also witnessed many internal challenges and conflicts within our own section. These past 10 years of association and uh, understanding of WILF US section by virtue of serving on the board and other committees and, just being actively involved, this offered me an opportunity to learn about our strengths, our weaknesses, and some of our unique challenges that more than 100 years old organizational setup like ours many a times faces. Many a times struggling to keep up with the contemporary and current times. Uh, as a professional in my work front, I have gotten to lead projects and teams of people in various international settings, such as the United Nations and the US public sector. I also serve on the advisory board of one of the largest organizations working on human trafficking, as well as my local library. And all of these experiences have expanded my own understanding and sort of widened my aperture, that I am able to more appreciate more the diversity, the socio-economic, ethnic backgrounds, the variations. I mean, just working with different kinds of people. And it has also helped me see the everyday struggles of many young women, and even older women for that matter, that they undergo to keep their head above water financially. So many of my friends, for that matter, are, they feel very passionate about peacemaking, but they struggle to balance, the passion in the day to day lives. And at this very important time of transition and change, where we are bringing in an ED on board, I believe that my own current, contemporary, professional understanding of these rapidly changing, fast paced dynamics of the nonprofit world will help the incoming staff as we endeavor to provide them with a structure and framework to operate within. I think we have to set up the ED for
Time.
success. I
Thank
bring to the board
you.
table, I have to finish. We have time. I bring to the board table not just a diverse racial background, but also leadership with a vision, a current management skill set, and most importantly, my love and passion for WILF and its legacy. So vote for diversity in leadership for the next generation of WILF. Thank you. And sorry for taking a few seconds extra.
Thank you. I'm going to say a little bit more about the process before going into the second question. So as if you've been around for a while, which I recognize most of these names, you will receive a ballot packet in the mail, and that will include the candidate statements, which will be written out, but there will be more information, and that information is available on a member with a member only link, and that is in that November e-alert where you signed up for this meeting. There's a web page, and that web page has additional information, including each person's application and their letters of reference. So I'll take this time to thank all of you who wrote letters of reference in addition to the candidates. If you are not speaking and you want to mute yourselves so that we don't have to have any background noise, if you would like to do that, that would be great. Laura, would you like to ask the second question, or do you want me to keep rolling? Laura,
You talking to me?
Laura George, yep. Do you have the
Oh,
question?
go ahead. Go
Okay.
ahead.
All righty. Okay. Thanks, Laura.
Sure.
So our second question is, all of our candidates have a choice, and the choice for our board presidents, co-presidents, are a question about feminist peacemaking and membership participation, or about finance and budgeting. So I will read both questions, and hopefully you know which one you want to use. And we were going to go in the reverse order, so we will go ahead and start with Shilpa and then Martha and so forth. So you can choose. In these challenging times for feminist peacemaking, WILPF needs to increase membership, participation in branches, and on issue committees. Please share your ideas for increasing member participation. Or please describe how you will fill the fiduciary responsibilities of your board position, i.e., what you see as your role relative to your having appropriate knowledge of finance and budgetary issues, reporting, and documentation. And how will you keep members informed? So, Shilpa.
Just from the timekeeper, I want to remind people to have only 2 minutes on this question.
Thank you. 2 minutes on this question. Yes. All right.
Okay. Well, I want to talk a little bit about the question number 2. I think it was in the sequence.
Got it.
Right.
That is about feminist peacemaking and member participation.
Member participation.
Yes.
We are a membership-driven organization, and one thing that has always struck me is that I truly believe that this question should go to all of our almost 2,000 members, because the way to look at it is that we pay $35 to become a member, and we seek a certain value for our time in return. And what is it that we seek? What kind of value can we generate through our issue committees and other membership forums? I think that really is an important factor in deciding who becomes active in our membership forums and for how long. I mean, I can speak for myself personally. I think our issue committees, sometimes the meetings go on more than a certain time. And as a working professional, I find it difficult to engage in that on a regular basis. And that's just my personal experience. But like I said, this is a question for our members. And I think the answer has to come from the membership. What kind of value do you seek in our issue committees and in our membership forums that can help you get motivated to join these meetings? So I don't think there's any 1, 2, or 3 answers. There should be more than that. For me personally, I think if we can adhere to an action specific agenda, if we can be more shorter in terms of time, but that's just me. And like I said, this is something, and I think with the new field organizer coming in and talking to the different branches, the different members, hopefully we will get a more comprehensive answer to that than just my individual opinion.
Time.
Those are
you.
just my thoughts.
Thank you. We will go now to Martha, and Martha, you will have 2 minutes. Would you like to answer question number 2 or number 3?
I'm answering question number 3.
Thank you.
Okay, great. So, as the co-chair of the development committee, you probably already guessed that I would be talking about fiduciary responsibilities, as well as my background as a, previous executive director to a number of different nonprofits. But one that's near and dear, and I'm still working with in a voluntary basis, is Neighborhood House of Milwaukee. Neighborhood House started in the settlement house movement, or came out of the settlement house movement, and has some ties to WILPF and to Jade Addams, which is just amazing. But being someone that sits on a number of different boards on a local, national, and international level, as well as being previous executive director, I understand what the role is as it relates specifically around fiduciary responsibilities, but being a board president or being a board member in general. Executive director is operations, their day-to-day, but board is governance. And so, fiduciary responsibility, I'm so proud that I'm also a licensed nonprofit consultant with the Standards for Excellence Institute out of Maryland Nonprofit Association. And one of the codes within the Institute, or come out of the Institute, is all focused in on fiduciary responsibilities. We know that it's important to have members and have paid members. That's a continuous stream of income that comes in for us in the lifeline for many nonprofits, and is helping WILPF, make it and go along each and every fiscal year. But there is an importance to make sure that we are asking the right questions, prioritizing transparency, and ensuring that, as the board co-president, making sure that the organization's missions and is in alignment and the resources are safeguarded. As a co-board president, I want us to look at our.
Thank you, Martha.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we will go now to Diane.
Okay, thank you. I am so excited about the issue committees. That I think is the basic fundamentals of this organization with the branches. And I, as Disarm co-chair, the Disarm Committee has been very important to me. At 8 o'clock, actually, the Cuba and the Bolivarian Alliance Committee is meeting, and I would like to be at that call. And I just think that these issue committees are a way to really get into different topics and to get WILF out there and to get people to know the issues. And that's one of the reasons I really like WILF. So I hope that we can just, by bringing in more people, making them aware of these issue committees and the branches and what we can do, that they will get excited about it too and want to join WILF and keep at it and become an involved member. So that's what we need.
Thank you, Diane. And we will go now to Jan Quarterman. Thank you, Jan.
Okay, thank you. Well, we are a member-powered organization and our branches are independent. So we need a multi-pronged approach to building our branches. And I think our branches is where the rallies happen. It's where a lot of the rubber hits the road. So how do we go about that? Well, I think our approach, it's not just an either or approach, but I think it's a plus, plus, plus. I think there are many ways that branches can build and I want to help them. I want to help branches whenever I can. I want to help engage with our members and leaders because they are doing amazing things, and certainly agree with all the work that's done at the program level, issue committee level. But this whole idea of helping build, it's a perfect fit for me. It combines work I'm passionate about and things that I've done in the past. So I'm really excited about it. I'm also pleased that I am the liaison for our newest addition to the WILF US team, Shelby Young. And Shelby started, she had her first monthly meeting already. She's just doing a great job as our field organizer. And she takes her experience as a community organizer and she matches that with her core value, which she describes as compassion. And she says that's one of her driving forces. And she's going to use that to create lasting and sustainable change and help everybody amplify their voices, tell their stories, something that we hear a lot about, and she's willing to help people do that. We know that by sharing our successes and challenges is an effective way to build our branches. And so Shelby's already started with those monthly meetings. I just want to give you a bit of a data download. The first time we did those sessions, we compared the 10 sessions that we did during when we had those sessions and then the 10 months, matching months previous year when we didn't have those sessions. And I would just want to give you the data. We brought in 240 new gift and lapse members when we were doing those monthly as compared to 131 when we were not. So we know that works. We'll do that and we'll come up with other new ideas. So thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Jan. And now we're going to go to Mary Beth Gardam, and we have 3 choices of questions. Mary Beth, would you like to tell me which question you want, and I can give it a read or reminder for our listeners?
Number 3.
Number 3. Please describe how you will fulfill the fiduciary responsibilities of your board position and what you see as your role relative to your having appropriate knowledge of finance and budgetary issues, reporting, and documentation. And how will you keep members informed?
Well, I ran my own business for a while, so I have some idea of profit and loss statements. Every fall, the development team submits their best estimate of how much money they can raise during the next year, based on many factors. How much we raised in the last 2 years, how many competitive forces there are to anticipate. For instance, during an election year, the competition is fierce. for donations, and what kind of plans we can come up with for expanding giving opportunities for our members and the general public. We've been pretty tireless about pursuing those. In the next year, we have an opportunity to do more targeted outreach based on the exciting reorganizing at the national level. There are big opportunities in 2025 to be more visible, to recruit more members, to strengthen branches, and to better define action projects that attract volunteers and leaders. We've had a huge contribution from our primary donor that will allow us to hire a new ED and enhance our visibility. And now we need to rally members to meet the challenge and stretch to help us take advantage of those changes. Now's the time to put your money where your heart is. My goals are to increase major donors, to increase the number of donations among our current members. Only about 20% of our members donate above their dues currently, and to convert donors to be monthly recurring donors. Expect calls and emails from our development committee and team members. Please take our calls and consider seriously how you can be part of this transformational era at WILPF. And finally, we report our monthly activities and progress on our annual goals at every meeting of the board. We also publish articles about our efforts in giving opportunities in the Peace and Freedom magazine.
Thank you. I see that Julie Kabukani has joined us. Ellen, did you already make her a co-host? I can't tell. Julie, I know you weren't planning on being here this evening, and I'm really grateful that you were able to. We are on our second question right now. Darian and Ellen, I'd like to give Julie a chance, if you're ready, Julie, to go ahead and do your opening statement in question number 1. And is that okay with you? Would you like? Yes? I'm sorry, I need to ask.
Sorry. Yes,
Yes.
it's okay with me. I'm not
Oh.
really prepared, but it's okay.
No, you were planning on being here on Thursday, and if you prefer to do that, that's fine.
But we'd
No, I
like
can do it today.
You can. Okay, all righty.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. It's truly an honor to be here as a candidate for nominating committee chair. WILPF has always championed peace, justice, and women empowerment. And we are at a pivotal moment to foster a more inclusive and dynamic leadership. I am committed to ensuring fair, transparent processes and to amplify the voices of marginalized members so we can build a stronger, united movement together. Thank you. So the main goal for my position as nominating committee chair is, first of all, equity and inclusion. I want to lead a fair, inclusive process that elevates diverse voices and talents within WILPF. I want to empower all members, especially those who feel unheard, through open dialogue and leadership opportunity. I want to reach out to younger voices. We need those voices within WILPF so they can bring more ideas and join the movement. And I am focused on making our nominating process clearer and more effective for all. As far as the general board goals, I will help the board align around shared goals to address pressing global issues. And boy, there are so many issues nowadays around wars and peace. So I'm also aiming to expand networks and member participation, which is vital for our impact.
You have 1 more minute. Thank you.
I want to focus on advocacy. We must continue driving meaningful change through targeted advocacy. Why I am the right person? I bring experience, passion, and a commitment to fairness and engagement. My background in leading women organizations in the US and in Africa prepares me to lead with integrity and empathy, driving WILPF mission forward. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have a second question now.
Okay.
And that is your choice of question number 2, 3, or 4 in the email I sent you. Would you like for me to read them? I think I just read 2 or.
Oh, I think I want, is it about the question 1 is my
Yes, you
question.
just did question 1. Yes, thank you. And our other candidates are on question 2. So I'll come back to you and give you a chance, okay?
All right.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I am going to Eileen. And Eileen, would you like to tell me which question you're going to reply to?
Sure. I probably will do a little bit of an overlap, but
Okay, you
I'll
got it.
focus more on the fiduciary.
Okay.
I just wanted to let people know that I have been working very hard because of an experience that made me want to work really hard to grow WILPF. And I'm really working out of my comfort zone, but training through Harvard training program with from Gantz's, Marshall Gantz is well known in the area of growing and developing. I'm doing a lot of reading, a lot of talking to people with more experience, and that's why I treasure having a really strong membership committee. Fiduciary wise, however, I've been on the development committee and been able to make calls to encourage people to donate a little bit more if able. And I will be doing that again this year. Last year brought in about $1,200. I will be offering more of my own money this time because I can up it this year, and I really wanted to do that and made it happen. I would very much like to connect or contact more of the at-large people who might be able to also provide more money. As you know, the at-large is the Jane Addams group. Thank you, Diane Blaze, for your amazing pull together on this. But I think they can be better with the help of a committee, bring more energy in doing things and money. Thank you.
Thank you. And we are next going to Julie Leak. And Julie, are there one of those questions that you would like to focus on?
Number 2.
Okay. So number 2 is, in these challenging times for feminist peacemaking, WILPF needs to increase membership, participation in branches, and on issue committees. Please share your ideas.
Well, I'm in Raleigh at the moment, and my life was somewhat interrupted with the COVID epidemic. I came down from New York for a week, I thought, and I ended up being here for 2 years. And it happened to a number of people. I happened to have been between roommates in New York, and I was also working, so my life changed very quickly. But while in New York, I worked on many different issues, which gives me the interest in the issue committees in WILPF. When I sang with the Raging Grannies, my initial issue was single payer back in 2009. But when you begin to sing about the issues, your interest develops. So you're singing about all of the issues, so they all become important. And but there isn't a WILPF branch in New York, and I go a lot between New York and Raleigh, and I ended up in Washington because I was a part of an action there with the Venezuelan embassy. So I have friends there that allow me to come and live, and so it's become like a second home. So I actually float between New York, Washington, and Raleigh, but I spend most of my time in New York. And since there's not an active branch there, I would like to learn more about the peacemaking, about the committees, about the issue committees. And I believe, even though there's certain disadvantages to floating from place to place, but I do spend most of the time in New York and Washington. So since there's not an active branch there, and I'm a part of the DMV branch in Washington, it has occurred to me that that would be a challenge to as I'm meeting different people in New York, to learn more about the issue committees, because there are a lot of activists there. I spend a great deal of time at the People's Forum, so that's an ideal place to connect with people. So
Fine.
that would be, okay.
Thank
So that would
you.
be a goal. Okay.
Thank you. And now we will go to Gloria.
Well, I have two areas that I really want to work on. Oh, in question 2.
A question 2. Thank you. Go ahead.
Question 2, yes. First of all, I'd like to talk about the revived Chicago branch, which is based on the Jane Addams model of nonviolence, alternatives to warlike games, and other important things that she developed in Chicago, such as even being on the sanitation board because the pollution and lack of pickup of trash was so bad in the Hull House neighborhood. So with that in mind, because of her 40 years at Hull House and the unique position that she took, going from a wealthy neighborhood into the poorest part of Chicago, something that all of WILPF could emulate, I would like to say that we're restarting the Chicago branch on a very diverse and inclusive model. We worked hard to bring it into the area of Hull House. One of the two refounders of our Chicago branch lives in the Hull House area. And so we're trying to bring it back to that kind of a model, to the most diverse model that we have in some ways not kept up with, but it's coming back. And Chicago has the huge archive of many people of color who've been active since the 1930s in the Chicago branch. And we're beginning to uncover some of those names. Okay, now over to the Tucson branch, which is thriving. And we have a campus twig, I guess you call it, off the Tucson branch. And I've worked hard with Shelby. Shelby is a delight to work with. We've had 20 or 30 seconds. We've had 3 events, and we hope to have something on nonviolent computer games before the end of the semester. There you go.
Thank you. So we next have a question that is specific to each candidate role. And I'd like to do a little time check. Ellen, we have 9 candidates here, so that puts us at 18 minutes, which is slightly less time than we are planning to leave for our discussion about bylaws. Should we haven't discussed, should we do 45 seconds instead of, instead of 2 minutes?
45 seconds would probably be like
So should we
speed
do
dating.
like 1 minute, 1.5 minutes instead of 2 minutes? What do you think?
If the candidates can do it, did Julie Kabakani want us to cycle back to her for?
I'm about to ask that. Yes. Okay. So Julie, we're going to cycle back to you for the second question, and then maybe I'll just ask for a affirmation with your hands, what you all think about giving us a little 90 seconds instead of 2 minutes. And so the second question, Julie, is the one that you get to choose. Are you ready? Go ahead. You're muted right now. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Unmuted.
Thank you. Having trouble. Let me.
Okay, so the second question is about the feminist question, right?
Correct. Yes. I can read it if you like.
Yes, please.
Okay. In these challenging times for feminist peacemaking, WILPF needs to increase membership, participation in branches, and on issue committees. Please share your ideas for increasing member participation. Thank you.
Okay. So I think my number 1 strategy will be better communication. So we really need to focus on that, communicate with potential member and current members. So we can use personalized outreach and regular updates through emails, phone calls, and online surveys. So we can identify how members wish to contribute and what support they need to participate fully. We can also foster a welcoming environment. We can focus on inclusivity and mentorship programs to support newer members. We can also offer, if possible, if we have time, we can offer some workshops and issue-focused initiatives to engage members in the causes that they care about. We can also partner, we can use partnership with like-minded organizations so we can draw in more diverse voices and more younger voices, very important. We can also use recognition. We can celebrate active members to keep them engaged. And we can also do, again, some advocacy campaign. We can mobilize members, which is already being done, especially in the Boston group. Some advocacy member and mobilize members around meaningful campaign. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to go to gallery, and you all candidates, give me a thumbs up or a no way, Tina, on can we do 90 seconds instead of 2 minutes? Mary Beth wants a full 2 minutes.
And what is this?
This is for our last question, Julie. Our last question is going to be specific for the role that you have. And I will be starting at the bottom with Gloria. And Darian, you're okay with that? All right. Okay, this will help us stay on time, and I appreciate your flexibility.
So we're doing 90 seconds?
Yeah. Mary Beth, you're okay with that?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, thank you. No, you're not. You're not okay. All righty. Well, we'll let you have your full 2 minutes and the rest. Okay. So I'm going to be starting with Gloria, and then I will go to Julie. And Gloria and Julie, you have this question for the at-large member. What do you see to be the roles of the at-large members, and what would you like to accomplish in this position? I appreciate that you both mentioned that in your opening statement. This is a chance to revisit that. Thank you.
All right, well, I do a lot of floating around already. I don't know how much difference I will notice, except that I would be more engaged with the board. And I believe in that. I go to things and I do attend things that are a bit edgy within WILF, but I do it as a person with training in rhetoric and conflict resolution. So it's sort of like a reporter going to an event rather than someone advocating for any particular issue committee. I have enjoyed going to all the AHR different things such as housing, border justice, reparations, and so on. And I can't keep up with all of them all the time, but border and housing are doing very well. We, in fact, Tucson branch was featured at the housing meeting in November. We had a couple of great speakers. So anyway, this is my focus. I love to travel around. I have started an arts focus issue committee called CCS. It's still getting off the ground, and we're doing Zooms. So 20 to 30 seconds. I hope I'm done. I think I'm done. And I love to work with all of you. I could work with any of the people, and I don't care, you know, how it goes. I can work with all of you.
Thank you. So I will go to Julie Leek now and offer the same question. How do you see your role as an at-large member, and what would you like to accomplish in this position? Thank you, Julie.
I think, well, first of all, since my lifestyle is from place to place, it would fit in very well with being an at-large board member. And since my interests have varied from with the other organizations that I'm engaged with, such as Code Pink and the Raging Grannies, I would like to implement that with WILF because somehow in the history, and I've been working on this as a side interest. WILF was engaged in starting the Raging Grannies, and at one time there was a connection of the two groups. So I've been doing some research and in that regard. So I'm looking forward to learning more about the history and connecting with different people, because I am in activist circles, whether I'm in New York or Washington or even here in Raleigh. So I'm hoping to use that to spread the word about WILF and to become more engaged myself, since my learning curve is much different, as I've not been a member of WILF officially for only 2 years.
Thank you. And I am going to read the question for our Membership Development Committee Chair. And while I do that, I'm going to say that I am actually backtracking a little bit, because I do realize that some of you have actually timed your answers and you have prepped answers for the particular time. And so what I'm going to say is that it's your choice, candidate choice, if you want to go for 90 seconds or 2 minutes. And if you want Darian to give you the heads up at whatever time, go ahead. And so I'm going to say for our membership development, Eileen, I'm going to say thank you for stepping up to fill this position on an interim basis. What have you learned or accomplished during the months of 2024 while you've held this position? And you were smart and you already started to cover that. So I appreciate that in your other answer. And now you get to say a little bit more.
Yeah, my big goal is to strengthen branches without a doubt, and to bring out the best in each member, especially if they're interested in leadership. We do need strong leaders going forward, younger leaders to, replace people who are either getting tired or not able. And as I have already said, I want very badly to work with Shelby to make sure we get at least a 3% growth. And that means considering the loss that we're having just because people are dying or moving away or what have you. This is a big task when you think about it, but it means a lot of communicating, a lot of support. And for me, my learning curve, but I like challenges, and I have a lot of energy, so I think I can make it go. And I go to bed sometimes feeling very satisfied that, hey, look at all I've done. Thanks to a lot of people, though. And I always have in my night with a gratitude. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm going to go to Julie Kabukani. And Julie, feel free to pronounce your name for me. You and I have not met in person, so feel free to do that. But I'm going to read your question first. So as Julie said earlier, she's running for the nominating committee chair, which is in charge of helping to recruit members to run for the board positions each year and running our election process. What skills do you bring to this role? Thank you, Julie.
Oh, thank you. So you're pronouncing my name very well. So it's Julie Kabukani. So that's good. So as a candidate for the position of nominating committee chair, I bring the following skills. I have strong recruitment and networking skills. I've been leading several women organizations, like I said, here in the United States and in the Democratic Republic of Congo. So I do have that experience in outreach and engagement, which enables me to effectively identify and connect with potential candidates from diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise. I am skilled at building relationships. I make friends very quickly, and I engage them in my passion and my work. So, and I encourage capable individuals to step forward and take on leadership roles. I remember I've been encouraging my friends and colleagues to join WILF, and they did in the past attend some meetings at the Boston WILF, but Unfortunately, most of them are so busy, they are raising families and they work several jobs, so they haven't really been able to be there, but I will keep on encouraging them. So I'm also very much committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is the big thing of these days. So I'm committed to ensuring that our board reflects the full spectrum of our membership diversity, including marginalized and underrepresented voices. My ability to approach recruitment and candidate evaluation through an intersectional and inclusive lens will ensure a fair and transparent process. And also, conflict resolution is also a big part of that. So as in every organization, we need those skills to work together and be able to resolve our conflict. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. We are going to go next to Mary Beth Gardam, who is our nominating committee chair, and I will quickly say that please tell us the key organizational goals of the Lloyd Family Legacy Project and what you see as next steps.
Okay, it's the development chair, not nominating, but yeah.
I looked at the wrong part. Sorry.
You're really
But I read the right question. Okay.
That's great. The key elements of the Lloyd Family Legacy Campaign are to hire an experienced nonprofit professional leader to oversee and direct the day-to-day operations of our organization, thus freeing the board and leadership to do more strategic planning, policy, and governance work. The new ED will help guide some of that planning with an eye to restructuring the organization to be more agile, to take advantage of more opportunities, and to operate more efficiently. She will also help create a smooth pipeline for leadership succession and oversee fundraising and membership recruiting for capacity building. In addition, the Lloyd Legacy dollars will fund a re-envisioning of the WILF identity and image through a modernized version of our long-established and cherished dove logo and bannerhead. A re-envisioning company with experience working with more contemporary nonprofit movement partners will help us redesign our look to attract attention and recruit new, active, diverse, intergenerational members. If we can raise enough additional matching funds from other major donors, that's a long shot, but it's the best chance we've had to leverage Robin Lloyd's donation for the future. We hope to be able to also hire more on-the-ground field organizers in specific areas of the country. Those are the three big goals of the Lloyd Family Legacy in transforming the future of WILF. Coincidentally, these are the specific things that WILF members have been telling us were critically needed for at least the last decade. Thank you.
Thank you. Jan, Diane, Martha, and Shilpa, I am going to ask each of you to answer the question, how do you individually, within your position, and collectively as a board member, envision working with and supporting an executive director? And we are going to start with Jan. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Well, I'm excited to have someone on board who has a full-time commitment to build from the heritage of so many dedicated individuals, the talent and expertise of our members, and our community spirit to really boost our work for a more just and equitable world. I think there are so many things we can do together, and I think there's so many connections we can make, so many coalitions we can strengthen. And I think we have the raw materials that the executive director can look at and build from. And I look forward to working with someone who brings that experience and expertise to help us, not only as co-president, but also as a board, our branches, and our members. And I think it's essential. The time is right. There's so much urgency and determination right now. So I'm pleased that the timing is working out to do this at this time. And I've thanked Robin for her foresight in this. 4 things that I kind of identified that I think the ED can help with. And I think we're on track here. The same things that Mary Beth mentioned, I think. Help us make sound policy to shape the future of wealth. Help us build our membership, our programs, our initiative, and our finances. Amplify the voices of all members and leverage our collective influence. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. Moving on to Diane.
Well, when I first joined WILF, I was horrified we did not have an executive director. And I was so pleased when I heard that we were going to get one. So I am thrilled that we will, and I'll do everything I can to support her. But I just basically go along with everything Jan said. So thank you, Jan.
Thank you, Diane. We are going to go to Martha next. Martha, can you answer the question?
Absolutely. I want to say, as I thought about this, I thought of myself and being an ED in a number of different nonprofits, how I can show up in a ways that working boards like WILF could come for this person. And immediately right away, I thought of collaboration, support, and leadership. Establishing this strong partnership with them, being respectful, building trust with them, being positive and open. I think being in this role of co-presidency, being a liaison between the board and the new leadership. We don't want to say we've always done things this way because we always done things this way. So being receptive to new ideas, fresh ideas and perspectives on things so that we can change and we can transform into whatever this next generation will look like. Being very clear again between ED is operations and board is governance, providing constructive feedback, and being that balancing act, or as I mentioned, a liaison as it relates to, not we're going to do it this way because, we say you have to do it this way, but being open and respectful and figuring out how we can still be true to our mission and what our members want, versus this new senior leadership that's coming in and giving us perspective. So being an advocate for them, being a liaison for them, and providing support during crisis, because it will happen. It won't be all, peachy and cream. I was definitely excited as well, learning about this great once in a lifetime opportunity for our organization to bring on leadership and having the resources. We have the framework. We know what to do. We have a willing and working board. And now we have someone that can look at that, North Star and take us to the next level where we want to go. And I'm just so excited to be on this journey and possibly being that liaison again between the executive director, the board, our branches, our members. Thank you so much for this opportunity and for your time tonight. And I'll pass it on to Shilpa.
Go ahead, Shilpa.
Well, thank you, Martha. And as Martha said, I think it's important for us to demarcate and differentiate the role of an ED and the board. And I think it's not just important to demarcate because it also sets the expectations. And, we really want to set the ED up for success. We want to do everything that is possible to make sure that they feel comfortable, they feel welcome, not just by saying hello, but really creating an environment that fosters them to succeed in what they are joining the organization for. And I can say that, I'm in a leadership position myself. And as a young millennial, I can tell you that I know that in this fast-paced, nonprofit, progressive, or times that we are in, the job of an ED is not easy. It's not going to be easy. It's a very challenging job. It's a very challenging task, and we need the board leadership fully, prepared, and they should have the skills to provide that support to the incoming staff. And I think me and Martha will be able to provide that contemporary, current, skill set that is needed to support this individual and the team that we are bringing in. And ED's success at this time will be our success. And in this time of transition and change, let's vote for, diversity in leadership for the next generation of WILF. I had to use that.
All right. Whoa. That concludes our 3 questions. So yes, can we take a second and just say, like, I want to rush through and get to the next part, but let's throw some applause around. Wow, all these candidates. Really appreciate your being here and your being willing to spend time on the board.
Ooh,
Yep. So Darian gets to lead our next section, which is I will say a quick and dirty look at the bylaws updates. I have that right, Darian. Are you doing this, or is my memory faulty?
You are correct. And
Okay,
I'm
so
going to,
we're going to give you the floor.
I will, go ahead.
No, I'm done. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to zip through the 5 bylaws amendments, and I'll try to focus on the parts that are most interesting. Mostly they are pretty basic. The first amendment is simply about stating the terms of office for individuals who are appointed to the board, who are appointed only till the end of the current year's. Most positions have 3-year terms. However, if you get elected midway through a term, then you're only serving till the end of that term. The second amendment is attendance is very important so that one knows what's going on with the board meetings, so that people have heard the discussion, have heard the reports, have looked at the reports, and know what has come before. So this amendment strengthens the language around the requirement of board meeting attendance and the requirement to let the president or co-presidents know if you're going to miss a meeting, and sets up consequences if you continue to miss meetings. The third amendment is perhaps one that people will want to pay the most attention to, because it's about qualifications to run for the board and the authority of the nominating committee. The nominating committee currently makes sure that people have filled out the application and have submitted all the auxiliary documents that are required. Under this amendment, they would also have the authority to say, you are not qualified to run for the board because you don't meet one of the qualifications, or a new qualification is added, that anyone who wants to run for the board has to have had 1 year's experience at any or in any national level committee. That could be a standing committee of the board, such as membership development. It could be an ad hoc committee, such as bylaws or communications. It could be one of the issue committees. We've heard a lot about the issue committees earlier today. That experience, the bylaws committee thought, is important for someone to be a qualified board member. Then the fourth amendment is a pretty straightforward one about standards and protocols for branch naming. In the past, pretty much all branches were named after the geographic area where they were located. Then we started having some branches named after a famous deceased person who stood for WILPF principles. We think those are 2 good bases for naming a branch, and have put into the bylaws as a proposed amendment that those are the only 2 bases that one can use to name a branch. It's really straightforward and easy. You've heard Eileen Krakowski tonight running for the Membership Development Committee. If the 5th bylaws amendment passes, then she'll be the chair of the Membership Committee. We'll make the name shorter just to make it a little more convenient and a little clearer. People tend to mix up membership development with the Development Committee. So that's the basic amendments for this ballot, and we probably have about 20 seconds if someone has a question. I knew I could bore you to death. So
Oh.
hopefully you will vote in favor of the bylaws. Jan has a question.
I have one question though.
Okay, I called on Jan first and on Julie.
Yeah,
Jan,
I thought that currently if you were filling part of a term, you only served to the next election. So in other words, if there were 2 years left to a term, you only served like 1 year of the 2 years. But did I hear you say that's going to take you all the way to the end of the term now, if that amendment is adopted?
actually, it's not a change. Currently, if you're appointed to a position, you only get a position for the 1 year, the current term, but it's not a change. If you run for a position that has 2 years left, you're in the position for 2 years. So this amendment formalizes what we've done for quite a while now.
It's the
Oh,
difference
okay. So
between
the difference is running versus being appointed. Okay.
correct. You've got it, Jan.
You're
The difference
appointed.
between running and being appointed. That's exactly it.
Okay.
And someone else had a question. Was that Martha's voice I heard? Or no, Julie. You said it was
Yes, I
Julie.
just
Go ahead,
wanted a
Julie.
little clarification.
Mm-hmm.
When you want to amend it to say that only the people that have been in the board before can run for the board, then that's not what you said.
No, it sounded
No.
like it though. It's only people who have had some experience with a national level committee, and I found our structure, so I put that into the chart into the chat. You can click on that later and look at some of our other committees. So in addition to a nominating committee or an issue committee, we also have other committees that a person could be on to get national level experience. Does that make more sense?
It does, but then it's almost gonna be, how are we gonna be able to recruit new members if
Well, I
it's gonna
think
be like a rotational type of,
yeah, I
member?
think we have to get better at recruiting people for the national committees. For example, the membership committee is very small, and I think the goal is to have 15 people in that committee. So once we fill up the committee, then our pool becomes of folks that have national experiences larger. I'm sorry, I'm not on the bylaw committee. Is someone else that's on the bylaws committee wants to explain that?
Nielsen for the stack.
Go ahead, Nielsen.
So the idea is that, first of all, to run for the board, you have to have been a member for no less than 2 years. So during those two, say you joined this year and you'd like to run for a position in the elections for 2026. You won't be able to do that because you can't run for a service on the board until you've been a member for 2 whole years. That does not mean, however, that you couldn't serve on, be a member of a program committee, of an issues committee, that you couldn't be a member of the nominating committee, that you couldn't be a member of the finance committee as a member. So you could serve as a member during those first 2 years of a committee, during those first 2 years that you're a member of WILPF, and get the experience necessary then to run for the leadership of one of the committees, like a chair of nominating or chair of development, which Mary Beth would love. Does that make sense? So you
Yeah.
experience
Thank you.
by serving as a member.
So I think we are at our official concluding time. I see there are additional questions. I defer to the chair of the nominating committee to determine if we are done or should continue.
Boy, way to pass the buck, Darian.
I
It's
actually
all
just
right with me.
I just put it in chat that I was going to call on the first hand that went up. And so that gives you a couple of minutes, Ellen, to decide. So, Teresa, do you have a question about the bylaws?
Yes, I do. On this issue of adding an extra hurdle to the basic requirement that you have to be a member for 2 years To me, what makes most sense in this time where the branches are weaker than I have seen in my memory, that there are too many people who get to serve on the national board who have never been in a branch, never thought about organizing a branch, and versus issue committee participation versus branches. I will vote no on this amendment because it's an extra hurdle that builds the bureaucracy and it does not build membership this participation. It's not really a question, it's to say vote no on this hurdle for new members who have served, who've been a member for 2 years and now they're required to be on a national issue committee. Vote
Thank
no.
you. Thank
Vote
you.
no.
So
Ellen.
just to say, the bylaws committee was looking at the value of experience and understanding of how national works that is gained through national committee experience. Jan, go ahead.
Yeah, I put it in the chat too, but what I'm sensitive to on that particular change is that you could be very, very active in your branch. You could even chair a branch. It could even be, you know, our branch is 60 members. You could even chair a branch of 60 members for 2 or 3 years. And that's kept you busy and you've done a lot. And but because you didn't serve on a national committee, you would be ineligible to run for the board. So I'm sensitive to that issue. Thank you.
And branch experience is critical, but it isn't the same as national level experience. Mary Beth, you have your hand up? You're muted. There.
I just wanted to say, I have conflicted opinions about this, but I think if we agree that the issue committees are where projects and programs at WILF begin and catch fire, and we need to invest in those areas. I see this as a way of helping people, encouraging people to join AHR or Women in Democracy or Disarm or places like that. Not saying that they couldn't also be leaders in their branches, but our national organization takes inspiration from the issue committee level. If we want to change that, then we should change it. But if we are going to continue to prioritize programs and projects at the issue committee level, we really have to strengthen those issue committees and recruit people for them and encourage people to join them.
Hey, Ellen, you're up.
Well, I agree with Teresa and the others who have concerns about whether this poses a hurdle to talented people running for the board. If people don't have any experience in WILF, that'll show up in their candidate statements. People can choose. And, you know, it's up to the nominating committee to, you know, try to find qualified people to run, like the marvelous group that I claim no credit for that we have running for this election. But, you know, to add the extra hurdle of, you could be a member of an issue committee and just attend the meetings or attend some of the meetings, and you've fulfilled the qualification, and you may have done nothing much on that issue committee, and you certainly will not have learned a whole lot about how WILF works at a national level, because the issue committees may find out about their, you know, their monetary allowance, but they don't necessarily interact. I don't think it's going to give us necessarily the best qualified people, but it is going to mean that possibly very well qualified people won't be able to run. So
Well, I am going to take us home. I'm going to start by echoing Ellen's appreciation for this extremely well qualified group of candidates. And I am actually going to, we're only, what, 8 minutes over time. Actually, not too bad considering you all managed to show up tonight. I'm going to ask the candidates and the nominating committee to stay on a couple more minutes if you don't mind. But I'm also going to remind folks to look for your ballots. They need to be in the mail by December 11th. So look for that in your mailbox, hopefully very soon. And thank you all very much for being here. If you are not on the nominating committee or a candidate yourself, you may drop off this call. And Ellen has a question for the rest of us. Thank you.
I just wanted to let people know I called the printers. They expect the ballots to be mailed out later this week.